Hello, my beautiful friends. I am Laurel Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. If we're meeting for the first time, I am an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. And I do this through one-on-one angel sessions, soul mentoring, and a variety of classes designed to inspire your spirit. And you can learn more at my website, illuminatingsouls.com, where you can also sign up for my daily inspiration email blast, and I will send you an inspiring email every weekday. But for now, the angels and I are here to help you come into a cozy, soothing place of rest. This podcast is a mashup of two of my favorite forms of self-care, working with the angels and listening to a sleep podcast to help me go to sleep. And the way this podcast works is we'll be together for about an hour. Usually the first 15 to 20 minutes, I share with you about the angels or a spiritual theme. And then for the second part of the episode, I will read to you or tell you a story or ramble to you to help keep you company as you drift off to sleep. What I have found to be so helpful about sleep podcasts is they keep me company. And they give my consciousness a very gentle focal point. And it helps me ultimately drift off. For so many years, I used to watch television and fall asleep with the TV. But I don't know what happened in the last few years. It became less effective for me, or perhaps less cozy. And probably about 5 years ago, I found my way to sleep podcasts. And I absolutely fell in love with them. At first, when I started looking at sleep podcasts, I thought perhaps they were meditative, or they had something embedded in them, some sort of subliminal message that would put me to sleep. But what I discovered is they were very gentle narratives, whether they were stories or people were reading from books in public domain. It was meant to be rambling, soothing, friendly narratives that help our waking consciousness drift off. And if you think about it from a societal standpoint, so many children drift off to bed while somebody is reading them a story. For me, my sister and I shared a bedroom on the second floor of our house, and I have such sweet, warm memories of hearing my parents' voices off in the distance downstairs as they were just in conversation or watching TV while we were upstairs getting ready to go to bed, and it was so comforting. So my intention for this podcast is that it is a comforting, soothing space. And it may take a little while for you to build your connection to the podcast. So give it a try for a few nights. And my sense is you'll find out within 2 or 3 times if this is going to work for you. It takes time to get used to the sound of my voice. It takes a little bit of time for your consciousness to build trust in this space. And it's not just the sound of my voice, but it is the love of the angels that is flowing through this broadcast. And angels are divine celestial beings that are here to love and support us. I'm blessed to be someone who can feel the love of the angels. And so I feel their love flowing through whenever I get ready to record an episode. So right now it is early morning here in Northern California. It's still dark out. And I am underneath the blanket fort, and I feel the love of the angels coming through for you. If you don't know what the blanket fort is, I throw a big cozy blanket over my computer monitor and over my head, and I create a blanket fort. It helps to mute the sound. I don't have a recording studio. And so early on, I discovered if I created this tent with a blanket, that it made the sound be a little more intimate. So now for me, I have this Pavlovian response when I get underneath the blanket fort. My heart just smiles and I feel the joy of the angels and this beautiful connection with you. And the love is flowing through. And I am so grateful for this time with you. You are a beautiful beloved in this world, and this world is better because you are here. And so whether you are using this podcast to help you fall asleep, and also I know many of you use it during the daytime to keep you company as you commute to work or go about your day, however you are guided to use this podcast, you have my blessing and gratitude. I'm so deeply grateful for this opportunity to be with you. And so I'm going to call the angels in. They are already here, but I love the ritual of sharing them with you. So I invite you to get cozy and snuggle on in and take some deep breaths in and out as we call ourselves forward into the heart of God. And beautiful angels on high, I invite you to join us here. And I welcome your presence. I welcome your light. I welcome your love. And I ask that you infuse this broadcast with blessings for each of our beloveds listening now. I ask that you bring forward the sweetest of light. I ask that you bring forward healing. I ask that you clear from us anything that does not belong to us. And I ask that you help clear any doubt or worry that really does not serve us, clearing this up into the highest realms where it can be transformed in service for the highest good of all concerned. And so, dear ones, just take some nice deep breaths in, and the angels and I invite you into this sweet moment that is being cultivated just for you. One of the beautiful things about the angels is they will calibrate this energy specifically for you. So the stream of energy I might receive might be subtly different than what you receive. But the angels are able to meet you where you are in live time, even if you're listening to this broadcast years after it was recorded. The angels can be with you now and that they are aware of what is transpiring in your life and what you are carrying in your heart. And they are here to love and support you. And the greatest thing that you can do is to open to receive. That might sound so easy, but most of us are so good at giving and not so great at receiving. So a sweet little prayer that you can bring into the light here is, angels, help me open to receive your love. Help me feel and sense the love that you are bringing me. And some of the ways I experience the love is I might just feel a beautiful warmth in my heart chakra. I might feel tingles. I might feel a beautiful presence. And even if you think you're imagining it, that's okay. The imagination often serves as a gateway for us to awaken to our divine guidance. You know, so often there is this misperception that mystical gifts come forward like huge whooshes of energy that feels so remarkably different than our normal awareness. But my experience of divine guidance and working with the angels is that the energy is subtle because this is your journey. You are in the driver's seat. So in some ways, it's so helpful to use the imagination as a springboard. There is overlap between our imagination and the gateway to divine guidance. They're not one and the same, but they do share some territory. So one of the suggestions I have is, if you can imagine, especially if you are a daydreamer. For some of us, the gift of imagination and daydream comes more easily than others. I happen to be someone who has daydreamed my entire life. So just imagine, if you will, the most loving presence in the universe, shining love upon you. What would that look like? And if you can't imagine that, imagine standing outside on a bright, sunny day and feeling the rays of the sun warming you. The climate is perfect. The temperature is perfect. And the sun feels gentle. The sky is bright blue and the grass is green. You can feel the blades of grass underneath your bare feet. And you can feel the love of the universe as it translates into the beauty in this world. So just take another deep breath in, allowing the light of the divine to help you remember who you are as a divine being in human form. You are divine in nature. You are a light in this world. And I am so deeply grateful for this opportunity to get to shine this love upon you now. And allow this love to flow to your body, allowing your body to relax, allowing your body to sink into your bed or your chair, allowing any burdens to be cleared from you now. Just breathing this love into every cell of your body. Blessing your body, sending it this beautiful healing light. Imagining, if you will, that the room that you are in is being filled with a soft pink light that is filled with divine love that has been calibrated just for you. And this light easily and gracefully ripples to everyone in your home, your loved ones, including your pets, your plants, your crystals, everything in your home. For the space you are in is infused with this soft pink light. And this light easily ripples to everyone you love, everyone you carry in your heart receives this blessing as well. It's a beautiful thing about this kind of love. It is generous in spirit. And as you breathe, it ripples. And you don't have to give your own energy. Instead, this energy flows from the angels and God in your name. So allow yourself to be supported right now. Allow grace to meet you where you are. Allow the prayers of your heart to be received by your angels as they carry them to God. And in this moment, I affirm that blessings are flowing to you. Miracles are being seeded in your name. Sparks of inspiration are flowing to you, so that in the coming days and weeks, opportunities and ideas are going to flow to you in ways that will delight your spirit. I love the word delight. Everything about it makes me happy, so I also send you waves of delight, whatever delights you. I send you prayers for lightness of spirit, that you find your spark as you remember who you are as a beloved child of God. You are a big, beautiful soul. You carry within you beautiful magic and light. You carry goodness in your heart. And you are one of the ways that God's love is made visible in this world. So thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for the light you carry in this world. We are so deeply grateful for you. And so, dear one, just go ahead and breathe and allow yourself to drift off. You have done enough for this day. And while you rest, the angels will watch over you. And I'm going to tell you a story. So as I record this, we are in the early days of January 2023. And as someone who has lived all of my life in a large-sized body, I can't even tell you how many years of my life January has meant going on a diet. I don't do that anymore, just so you know. I am far wiser than I was in my younger years. But for many decades of my life, January was the time that you set your resolutions and you were going to lose weight. You were going to exercise. At least I shouldn't say you. I should say me. I was going to lose weight and I was going to exercise. This was going to be the year I got it together, because I grew up thinking that my weight was my fault, which many of us believed. And the good news is scientists and the medical community are just starting to understand better why some of us carry more weight than others. And it is not a personal failing. It is not a lack of willpower. It is a metabolic condition. But that's not what Storytime is going to be about. I just wanted to let you know that the beliefs that I held for most of my life are no longer the beliefs I hold, and that has brought a tremendous amount of peace and healing and a sense of humor to my own journey. So I'm able to reflect upon the past with a sense of humor and eye rolls and, oh my God, I can't believe we ever lived life this way. And so in this episode, I thought we could go into the Wayback Machine, and I went onto eBay and I found an old Weight Watchers recipe pamphlet. It must be from the late 60s or early 70s. And it has many of the recipes that I remember, and I thought I would share them with you. I also will share with you just a quick memory about Weight Watchers and New Year's. It was somewhere in the late 1980s. So I would have been still in my 20s, and, going to Weight Watchers in January was a thing. It was a ritual because, of course, this was going to be the year. For as long as I can remember, I always perceived myself as overweight, and it was my fault. And so something like Weight Watchers would help me finally get this into gear. And it's a known, and I don't know if this is still true, but back in the day, the early January meetings in Weight Watchers were mobbed, lines out the door. So I was not the only one who felt this way. And so I went to a Weight Watchers meeting in January. I think it used to be on Westwood Boulevard in Los Angeles. And as we were registering, CBS News was there with a camera crew interviewing people who were going back to Weight Watchers for the first of the year. And they interviewed me. And I said something like, this is going to be the year. I'm looking forward to it. I don't remember what I said, but I was bright and shiny. And the only reason I remember this happened is because people around the country who knew me called me and said, we saw you on CBS News. I don't know that that tape exists anymore, but somewhere in the archives of the human experience, I am one of those people who is present on camera saying this was going to be my year, and it never was. Because, I'm still me. But back in the day, Weight Watchers, I have to say, has evolved tremendously over the years. We've learned so much more about healthy eating. But I first went to Weight Watchers when I was 7 years old. That's young. So I've been doing this a long, long time. And back then, Weight Watchers was pretty militant. It involved, since I was a kid, I had to drink a lot of milk. You had to eat liver, I think, once a week. You had to eat fish 5 times a week. So there were all of these things you had to do to be legal on Weight Watchers. And that was the word legal or illegal. There was legal food and illegal food. And part of the reason I wanted to buy this little pamphlet with recipes in it was because I was trying to determine if what I remembered was real. Like, was it a bad dream? Did it really happen? And I've shared with you some of my memories in another episode I did about diet recipes from the 70s. But for instance, one of them that I remembered was the quote cheese Danish, which involved toasting a piece of bread, which was never the good bread. It was some sort of like skinny bread. And you would put a 1/4 cup of cottage cheese, always low fat, thank you very much, onto the bread with some sweetened low and some cinnamon. And then you would toast it. And that was considered cheese Danish. It never was a cheese Danish, let's just be clear, but it's what they called it. You know what is so interesting about that is cottage cheese toast is becoming a thing again, much to my horror and fascination. A few of the food accounts that I follow on Instagram and TikTok, people who do healthy recipes, not diet recipes, just whole foods, they are making this cottage cheese toast where they take a really lovely piece of bread, so not that weird skinny bread that I used to eat as a kid, but real bread, and toast it. And then you take whole fat cottage cheese and you put it on the toast, maybe with some avocado or something. And they're eating it as if they have discovered the holy grail of delicious food, like how we felt about avocado toast several years ago. And it cracks me up because all I can think of is, do you know the history of cottage cheese toast? It is not a pretty one. So I thought we would go through this recipe booklet together and go down memory lane for any of you who were on a similar journey to me. And if you weren't, if you got to eat actual food like ho-hos and Cheetos and macaroni and cheese and real cheese Danishes, well, God bless you. I'm so glad that you were able to consume those foods when you were younger. I always had to have the diet person's substitute of these things. So I had a good relationship with sweet and low back in the day. So here we go. So the first thing we go into here is soups. And we start off with cabbage soup. And how many of you remember the cabbage soup diet? I don't remember what was in it, but I remembered it had to do with eating or drinking a tremendous amount of cabbage soup to help you lose weight. So this is the Weight Watchers. It's a local Weight Watchers group that put out this recipe book. So this wasn't Weight Watchers National. It was a regional Weight Watchers group, but these were some of their recipes. God bless these women. God bless these women. And I know I am making this gender specific. There were men who went to Weight Watchers, but it was mostly women who would come up with these recipes. And you can feel and see the diet culture in this. So, a 46-ounce can of tomato soup, 7 tablespoons of lemon juice, 2 tablespoons of dehydrated onions, a half a cup of water, 2 envelopes of powdered beef bouillon, 1 teaspoon of liquid artificial sweetener. Combine above ingredients and bring to a boil. Add shredded cabbage, at least 1/2 head or more if desired. Is that the saddest excuse for soup you have ever heard? Like dehydrated onions, you're not even sauteing real onions. There's no mirepoix in here. There's no carrots and celery and onions. There's not even a little pat of butter to give it some flavor. You get a can of tomato juice, some dehydrated onions, some lemon juice and beef bouillon and sweetener. It's the saddest thing. But that was the mindset back then. So how about the saddest version of cream of mushroom soup? 1 small can or jar of mushrooms. And the thing is I remember back in the day we used canned mushrooms. I don't know what was happening with fresh mushrooms back then, but I grew up on canned or jarred mushrooms. 1 cup of non-fat milk or skim. It was always skim milk. I was from the Midwest, so we did skim. 1 cube or envelope of beef bouillon, and then salt and pepper to taste. Blend mushrooms, half the juice, bouillon, and the cup of milk in blender. Like, this was the mindset that we could not even be trusted to have real food. We just could only have this imitation food. But also, the thing about these kinds of recipes is that these foods were all free foods. Like, you could have as much as you wanted. And for people who grew up in the diet culture, quantity was everything. We were always looking to eat, and now we understand much more why that is, right? The bodies that we're in are sending signals like, we're in trouble here, we need more food. But back then we didn't know that that was the case. So this idea of being able to consume large quantities of these foods that weren't really foods were the best thing we could come up with. So there you go. There's a few very sad soup recipes for you. Okay, and now we get to eggs and cheese and breakfast options, which I remember well because I had these often. So we start off with the very famous pancakes. So you take 1 egg, 1 slice of bread, again, usually some skinny bread, 2 tablespoons of buttermilk, which we didn't have. My mom would have used skim milk, a pinch of salt, artificial sweetener, equal to 2 teaspoons of sugar or to taste. So that would have likely been 1 packet or 2 packets of the pink packet Sweet and Low. Put in blender at high speed, and then you pour it into a hot non-stick skillet. And you can also slice an apple, peach, or a half a cup of blueberries. And that's what we did. I remember my mom would make me a blueberry pancake out of this. And then it says, breakfast only. Men, do not forget to eat your other slice of bread, because men got to have more food. And if you don't think that that did not build up resentment at Weight Watchers meetings, the Weight Watcher lecturer would say something like, and men, remember, you get an extra slice of bread. And all the women would give this really nervous giggle like, oh, because men tend to need more food and lose weight easier than women. So there was always this war of the sexes happening at Weight Watchers meetings. And listen, you might want some syrup. So here is Weight Watchers syrup for you. 1 can of non-caloric cream soda. And I'm going to go back to the whole soda thing in just a second. 1 cap of artificial butter flavoring. 1 cap of maple extract and artificial sweetener to taste. You put it in a pan and you boil it, and then you pour it over your pancakes. So again, there's no nutritional value in this, no sugars. Now, let's set the stage for the late 60s, early 70s. Artificial sweeteners were relatively new to the marketplace. And it was determined that fat and sugar were why we were all fat. And so anything where you could substitute fat or you could substitute sugar was a thing. And we didn't know better then. We didn't know if this would damage our systems, nothing. It was just this miracle thing that you could use saccharin or Sweet and Low and sweeten things, because we were looking for sweet things. And as far as diet recipes go, sugar-free soda is used in many of these recipes for flavor. So that this uses the sugar-free cream soda is not a surprise to me. And I seem to recall that the brand of sugar-free soda that we would use for cooking these weird recipes tended to be Shasta, because Shasta had a wide variety of flavors, including orange and grape and black cherry soda. So there were things like Tab and Fresca, but we didn't use those as much in recipes. So there is, here, you guys, here's the famous cheese Danish that traumatized many people back in the 70s. Like if they, nowadays, the people who are doing cottage cheese toast, it's called cottage cheese toast. So the bar is not very high when it comes to expectations, right? So if a food influencer right now is making cottage cheese toast because they love toast and they love cottage cheese, power to them. But do not give me cottage cheese toast and call it a cheese Danish, because the bar of expectation for me when it comes to cheese Danish is really, really high. I am looking for a flaky experience when it comes to the pastry. I am looking for a hefty dollop of cheesecake-like filling for the cheese Danish. So to hand me a sad piece of toast with cottage cheese on it, it is just cruel. It is my belief. So here is the famous cottage cheese Danish from Weight Watchers. 1 slice of crisp toast. Again, this is not good toast. This is not a hefty piece of sourdough or challah or brioche. This is nasty, skinny diet bread, toasted. 1/8 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/8 teaspoon of vanilla, a 1/4 cup of cottage cheese, and I assure you in my house it was non-fat. Artificial sweetener to taste. You mix the cottage cheese with the cinnamon, vanilla, and artificial sweetener. Spread it on the toast and place under the broiler until brown and bubbly. Fruit may be added on top before broiling, but must be counted in daily requirements. Now, this is a big thing. If you were going to put some fruit onto your cheese Danish, you had to count it. You had to count everything because we could not be trusted when it came to food. You had to count everything. Now, here's the thing I remember. I was always so hungry after this, and no wonder, a 1/4 cup of cottage cheese. So I still eat cottage cheese today because I like it, but I tend to eat it with fruit, with some honey or something, so I don't torture myself with cottage cheese, and I always get full-fat cottage cheese. It happens to be a good source of protein that works for me, but it's not out of some sense of denying myself anything. But I happen to know the nutrients of cottage cheese, so when I get my full-fat cottage cheese, a 1/2 cup is about 110 calories, and depending on the brand is somewhere around 14 grams of protein. So if I was having a 1/4 cup of cottage cheese, it was probably non-fat, that would have been about 45 calories and only 7 grams of protein. That's not enough. That's not enough food for breakfast. It's crazy. Here's another one. I never had this one, but it sounds horrible. They're calling it, quote, hot cereal, because we couldn't have had real oatmeal back then. So 1 slice of white bread, 1 egg, 2 ounces of boiling water, a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, 2 ounces of skimmed evaporated milk, and 3 drops of imitation butter flavoring. And you pour boiling water over the bread, you add the evaporated milk, you stir constantly while adding the egg. Oh, this just sounds terrible. I'm not even going to keep going. It's so sad. There is sort of the pancake version, but it's called an apple fritter because you add in an apple. Like, no wonder I grew up with a really skewed version of food, and could I trust myself around food? Okay, so let's keep going. I hope I'm not traumatizing you guys with this. It's like, no wonder. Oh my, and you know what? Can I just say, I am not being hypercritical of the people who put these recipes together. It really was a reflection of the mindset of that time. We didn't know better. You know, here we were gaining weight and we didn't understand why. It must have been because of the food we were eating. You know, even though if you go back generations, we were growing up with fat and with sugar and with whole foods. And so something must be going wrong. And so there was this messaging that we could not be trusted around food, which is really sad, but we didn't know better. And I think I don't know, the way I think about it is, if you look back at medical science 200 years ago, there's so much we know now that we didn't know then. You know, that now we wash our hands, that now we take care about how we prepare our food. Now we have antibiotics. And so the wisdom we have now far surpasses what was the wisdom of the day 200 years ago. And I wholeheartedly believe that 50 years from now, we're going to look back at how we were thinking about obesity and shudder because we had it so wrong. But these recipes reflect what we thought to be right and true back then. So let's look at some more, shall we? This one, I don't know. This just makes me so sad. It is pineapple cheesecake. And you know it's going to be nothing like pineapple cheesecake, right? So don't get excited. Half a medium pineapple cut up in chunks. And I have to imagine this would have been canned pineapple. I don't know, who knows, but however you get your pineapple, half a medium pineapple, cut up in chunks, 1 cup of water, 1 cap of vanilla extract, a pinch of salt, 1 cup of diet soda. Here we go. There's the diet soda for us, cream or lemon, 1 1/3 cup of ricotta cheese, and 2 packages of gelatin. So artificial sweetener equal to 6 teaspoons of sugar or to taste. You boil the pineapple and water for 20 minutes. In a bowl, mix soda and gelatin. To this, add the cooked pineapple and chill until syrupy. Put this in a blender and blend. Add all other ingredients and blend. Place in a pie pan and refrigerate. And serves 2 for lunch. Count the fruit. So placing it in a pie pan, I guess, adds to the illusion that this is pie. So if desired, toast 2 slices of white bread and put it into a blender. Add cinnamon and granulated artificial sweetener to taste. Blend and sprinkle over pineapple cheese mixture before refrigerating, and count the bread. Oh, my heart aches for us back then. We were trying so hard. We were trying so hard to be good. Here's the saddest lasagna recipe. So cut 1 slice of toast in half to make 2 slices. Wait a second. This is such a Weight Watchers thing. Take 1 slice of bread and cut it in half, and then you'll have 2 slices. We were trying to play these mind games with ourselves back then. Like, okay, wait, if I cut it in half, I'll have 2. Okay, so cut 1 slice of toast in half to make 2 slices. Place side by side on a pie tin. Pour marinara sauce over the slices, then place 2/3 of a cup of ricotta cheese over that. Repeat with another layer of marinara sauce, place in oven, and heat. Oh, that is sad. Okay. God bless. God bless us. You know, I believe that we can send healing light in all dimensions of time. So can we all come together right now and send healing light to all of us who are eating these sorry excuses for food back then because we thought that is what we had to do. We didn't know better. And let's send healing light to all of the researchers and all of the wise ones who are helping us come out of the darkness into the light where we can actually eat real food. Okay, thank you, angels. We'll keep going though, because I don't know about you, but I think this is kind of funny. Hold on. Do you guys want the saddest, quote, macaroni and cheese casserole recipe? So 1 16-ounce can of bean sprouts, because we couldn't even get fresh bean sprouts back then because, it was seasonal and you might not be able to get that. So it's a can of bean sprouts, a half a teaspoon of imitation butter flavoring, 2 slices of dry bread, half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of onion powder, 4 ounces American or cheddar cheese cubed. Okay, I'm not even going to keep reading this because it is so sad. So you use the bean sprouts instead of macaroni, which is going to surprise absolutely nobody. Okay, I will say I'm not going to share the recipes with you, but there are an odd amount of liver recipes because we had to eat liver once a week and many people could not tolerate it. I was fortunate because being raised Jewish, I was raised eating chopped liver, so liver was not an odd flavor profile for me as a kid. So I was lucky, but there are a lot of liver recipes in here, but we're going to skip over this. And we're going to go into the vegetables. And I think this is interesting because a lot of the vegetable recipes are using cauliflower to substitute potatoes and rice, which was ahead of its time. I don't remember this at all as a kid, so I don't know that my mom ever made these, but the whole cauliflower as pizza thing, it was started back then. So there's a recipe for mock potato pudding using cauliflower. There's a Spanish rice recipe using cauliflower. It has 1 large can of tomato juice. Already it sounds terrible, right? Of course, there is the artificial sweetener because you have to have that. There is some celery, Tabasco sauce, onion flakes, not even real onions, and 2 packages of cauliflower cooked and mashed. And then you bake it. So cauliflower was doing its thing back then, which I don't remember at all. And let's skip over to the desserts, right? Because we were all about the desserts. So here is a lemon meringue pie, 2 cans of lemon diet soda, 2 packages of unflavored gelatin, half a fresh lemon, 15 drops of yellow food coloring, artificial sweetener. Prepare lemon gelatin dessert, add the juice of half a lemon and the grated rind of the lemon. Add artificial sweetener. Add 15 drops of yellow food coloring. Set in refrigerator to harden. After it hardens, put it in the blender and whip until fluffy, and then pour it into a 10-inch pie pan. So basically, there are no calories in this, which is what we were going for back then. We wanted 0-calorie food that we could pretend was food. Then there is the meringue topping, because we can't forget that. 1 can cream diet soda, 1/3 cup of powdered non-fat dry milk, artificial sweetener, 1 package of unflavored gelatin. Prepare cream gelatin dessert. Add sweetener to equal approximately 2 teaspoons of sugar and 1/3 cup of powdered non-fat dry milk all at once. Set in refrigerator to harden. After it is hard, whip it into a blender until fluffy and pour on top of the lemon filling. The only thing here is that you must count your third of a cup of milk, which is half your daily allotment. Is this so sad? Oh my God. Like, you cannot be trusted. You have to count your third of a cup of milk, which is half your daily allotment. God, we didn't even get one full cup of milk. Okay, you can do a strawberry version, which is yummy, which is 2 cans of strawberry soda, non-caloric, of course, for the lemon, and substitute red food coloring for the yellow. So that's an option. And I do have to share that the baked apple recipe that I remember from my childhood is in here. So you wash and core the apple. You slit and peel a third of the way down. Place the apples in an oven-proof dish and pour non-caloric black cherry soda over them. Sprinkle with cinnamon and artificial sweetener and bake in a moderate oven at 375 degrees until apples are tender, about 50 minutes. I absolutely remember this as a kid. This was our version of a baked apple with black cherry soda poured over it. And I enjoyed it, I will say, because what did I know? I was eating food that wasn't food. And God bless my mom. She was trying so hard. She was on Weight Watchers with me. She didn't just send me to Weight Watchers. She had to do Weight Watchers too because she felt she was overweight, which she really wasn't. But that was how we felt back in the day. Here's one. Caramel Frosty Freeze. Like a big promise, right? The bar seems high. Put a third of a cup of powdered non-fat dry milk in a blender. Add scant amount of water just to start the blender going. Add a level teaspoon of instant coffee and half a capful of maple extract and sweetener to equal 5 teaspoons of sugar. Blend on low speed. Gradually add 1 ice cube at a time until 1 whole tray is used. Keep on low for about 5 minutes after ice is fully crushed. The more you blend, the more you get. Okay, you know what? As I'm reading this to you, I am remembering that I used to get this. My mom would make this for me. I don't know that we used maple. We may have used vanilla extract, but I have this vision of my mom making a shake for me using instant coffee and ice cubes. And remember, the ice cubes would be in the metal tray, right, where you had to lift up the handle and try and crack them out because we did not have automatic ice machines back then, back in the olden days. Oh my God, I just am having this visceral memory of these milkshakes. Woohoo! Like other people would get milkshakes from Burger King. I would get the Weight Watchers milkshake. Yay me. Okay, let's see what else we got. Okay, how about an apple turnover? This is in the miscellaneous category. 1 apple, peeled, cored, and sliced. 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. 1 tablespoon of water. 1 slice of white bread. 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Artificial sweetener to equal 2 teaspoons of sugar. Cook last 4 ingredients with the apple until tender. Cool. Remove crust from bread and roll thin. Like no crust for you. Place half of apple mixture on bread. Oh my God, I remember this. Place half of apple mixture on bread and fold diagonally. Moisten edges and press together with a fork. Bake at 425 degrees until brown. Oh my God, wait, I remember this. Oh, wait. And then it says, remember to eat the crust of bread because we had to count things. So we couldn't just not eat the crust of bread. You had to eat it even though you were cutting it off. Wait, I remember these. Oh my God, I remember flattening out the bread. Oh, goodness gracious. No wonder I had food issues. Oh, oh, my heart is so filled with love for all of us back then. God bless our little hearts, trying to make a mock apple turnover that would somehow satisfy. Okay, let's see what else I can find. All right, and here is a fruity milkshake to sing us home. 1/3 of a cup of non-fat dry milk, 1/3 of a cup of ice water, 1/4 cup of sliced strawberries, 1/2 teaspoon of cherry extract, 1/2 teaspoon of orange extract, artificial sweetener to taste, equal to 1/2 cup of sugar, 6 ice cubes crushed. Combine all ingredients except ice cubes in blender. Run at medium speed for 2 minutes or until strawberries are pureed. Add crushed ice. Run at medium speed for 2 minutes and makes 1 serving. And I have to say, I remember these kinds of milkshakes. I seem to recall it would involve milk or blueberries and artificial sweetener and ice. Now, all in all, that doesn't sound so weird, right? We do a lot of smoothies these days, right? We're used to blended drinks. But the thing was about those things is somehow what I recall is I was supposed to trick my brain into thinking I was really having a milkshake. You know, if I make a fruit smoothie, I know I'm having a fruit smoothie. I am not having a milkshake. A milkshake is its own thing with its own sense of satiety, right? Like it's going to be creamy and smooth and sweet and filling versus a fruit smoothie is a different experience. I don't know. That's just me waxing poetic about what my relationship with food is. Like I want my experience of food to be what it is. I think it's why I never got into the whole cauliflower thing that has been the craze for the last 5 years. You know, cauliflower crust pizza and I think I tried the cauliflower fried rice once, and I was profoundly disappointed because I wanted fried rice, not cauliflower fried rice. It's not that I don't like cauliflower. I like cauliflower, you know, I like roasted cauliflower. I like cauliflower in my salads. I'm not anti-cauliflower, but cauliflower is its own thing. But I don't do well with cauliflower that's supposed to be a pizza crust. I grew up in Chicago on Lou Malnati's pizza. I have a really high bar when it comes to pizza crust. So cauliflower pizza crust and me, like I'm not going to have a good experience of that. And that's what I remember about Weight Watchers back then is we were looking to find substitutes for other kinds of food, right? So now if people want to eat cottage cheese toast because they like cottage cheese on toast, that's all well and good. But please don't call it a cheese Danish. Like I have high expectations when you call something a cheese Danish. I have 60 years of experiences in my food Rolodex of what a cheese Danish is going to be. And if you hand me a piece of skinny toast with a 1/4 cup of non-fat cottage cheese, some cinnamon and some sweet and low, and tell me it's a cheese Danish, I am going to feel so defeated. So here's to a lifetime of trying to understand our relationship to food and health and wellness. And I am so grateful I have lived my way into this moment in time where I have a very healthy relationship with food. I eat whole foods. I eat delicious foods. I don't count things anymore. I don't think of things as legal and illegal. if I cut a crust off a piece of toast for whatever reason, I will not require myself to eat it. In the spirit of the new year energy, here's to eating food that allow our bodies to feel healthy and well. And here's to eating delicious food that delights us, right? That makes our bodies feel good. So, as we draw this episode to completion, here is to a healthy, beautiful relationship with food and our bodies. We are so lucky to live in this time when we know so much more than we used to. And I am just so grateful to have lived my way into this time of life, because I feel like I have such deep compassion and awareness. And back then, we just didn't know. It was this mystery. And so people figured out that if we just deny food and we eat small amounts of food and we eat fake food, that perhaps then we will lose weight. So, sending healing light, again, all dimensions of time. Let's just heal that and come into this moment where we can actually eat an apple if we want to, or I can. I'll speak for myself. I can eat a piece of toast because I want to, not because I'm trying to imagine that it's an apple turnover, right? I can eat an apple without pouring diet soda on it to make it taste like something else. I can enjoy a delicious apple. And life is so much better now. So I hope you have enjoyed this walk down memory lane with me. And I love you very, very much. And I'm sending healing light through all dimensions of your timeline as well. So grateful we are here now. And I wish you the sweetest of dreams. I wish you love. I wish you goodness. And I am so deeply grateful for you. We'll talk again soon. Thank you.